Ever since the beginning of the elimination playoff format in the NASCAR Cup Series, Joey Logano has made the Final Four in every even year. He made it in 2014, 2016, 2018, 2020, and in 2022, the first driver to punch his ticket into the Final Four is Joey Logano. That's right, the driver of the number 22 trying to win the title in 2022. That would be wildly appropriate. But he made a late race pass on Ross Chastain. Got himself in position late, was 4th or 5th, and then got up to 3rd, got up to 2nd, and he was able to chase down Chastain and pass him with just 4 laps to go, I believe, and he took the lead and ran away and was able to win. Chastain fought very, very hard. He threw some blocks. He almost ran into the wall and ran Logano into the wall, but it ended up being clean. No one got wrecked. No one got into the wall. And Joey Logano got by him cleanly, ran away with the win. So yes, Logano has had the second most playoff points for most of these playoffs. Had a really good day, top 10 car, even top 5 at times. Led a good chunk of laps. Him and Blaney were really, really good throughout the weekend. But it was Logano taking the lead late in this one after his teammate, Ryan Blaney, had some problems. Had a crash late in this one, lost a lot of points. Some of the big headlines from today, obviously the playoffs, so we're going to look at the point situation. Obviously, I made a separate video, but about the crash with Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson and how bad that was. Some of the guys who were up front today were very surprising. Chase Briscoe, after having a horrendous start, being a lap down just from being super slow to contending for the win. And Chase Elliott, irrelevant all day. The guy who won the regular season championship, has the most wins on the season. They have not been on it in the playoffs. And Elliott, irrelevant all day. Never got into the top 10 and finishes 22nd, 23rd or something. So we're going to talk about all those things. Talk about the playoff implications. Talk about who was up front, who was fighting for the win. And yeah, there was a lot of guys who led laps. A lot of cautions there at the end. So let's talk about it, I guess. Obviously, that first stage was won by Bubba Wallace, so a non-playoff driver winning a stage takes some points away from some guys, but we saw a good mix of guys up front today. We saw non-playoff drivers like Bubba Wallace, we saw Justin Haley up there late, but we also saw a lot of playoff guys up there as well. Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, and then back to the no-playoff guys. Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick. Suarez coming back after a heartbreaker at the Roval. So, just really a really fun race. The Vegas race in spring was fantastic. I would argue one of the best races of the year. It was a really fun race. Multi-grooved racing, clean racing, not a wreck fest, but it did have a couple of incidents that spiced things up. A late race caution. This race was really good as well. Almost the same thing. No tire problems like we saw at Texas. No stupid crashes outside of the Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson one. No late race shenanigans, no wrecking people for the lead, that kind of thing. Overall, just a very fun race. And we saw, a lot of good racing, as I said. Blaney and Chastain fighting for the lead. The battle between Logano and Chastain there at the end. Lots of fun racing today. The late race restarts kept it clean, kept it not too chaotic, so despite all the chaos we've had this season and in the playoffs, we saw a relatively tame race. Ironically, though, Talladega has still been the tamest race of the playoffs. It's just back to the Bubba Wallace Larson thing. If you haven't seen my video, it's my most recent video. Go check that out. But, it just seems like ever since Kurt Busch's injury, there's been like an incident per race or something that happens per race weekend that just gets NASCAR in trouble or in bad press. Obviously the Pocono weekend, it was Kurt Busch's injury. Indianapolis, it was the driving 5 wide into turn 1 and just dive bombing people. Did anything happen at Michigan? I think Michigan was the one clean weekend. Richmond was clean too, so I guess not every weekend, but we had the controversy with Elliott and Larson at Watkins Glen. Daytona, you had the rain. Darlington, you had the cars catching on fire. Kansas, you had tire problems. Bristol, you had the tire problems again, and the racing wasn't as great as it usually is. Texas, you had a lot of tire problems, and you had Bowman's concussion and Cody Ware breaking his foot. Talladega, it was a non-Cup Series incident, but you had Jordan Anderson, his crash. What was the race after Talladega? The Roval, you had the late race caution and that controversy. Should they have thrown the caution? Then the race manipulation with Custer. So as fun as 2022 was in the first half, the second half of the year has been chaotic, and there's been a lot that's gone wrong. But I would say, I guess that happens sometimes, but that's just not the fact of the matter, so I can't even lie through that one or make stuff up for that one. But lots of controversy, and then, the controversy with the safety of the new car and, drivers being very outspoken. Then we see that incident happen with Bubba and Larson today, and yeah, just, I'm trying to focus on the positives here, like, oh, it was a great race today. Oh, it's really fun to see Chastain and Logano battle for the win. Two guys who are really aggressive, give everything for the win, and not wreck each other and not put each other in the wall, do anything dirty. It was really fun to watch them there. But, man, it's hard just to not focus on what happened between Bubba and Larson because it was so bad. NASCAR released a statement. They said they would look at the evidence that happened, whether it's the data in the cars, the steering, the drivers, the video, whatever it may be. But I still fully expect Bubba Wallace to get at least a one-race suspension for that one. I hope him, Larson, and Bell are all okay, but that was a huge hit for Christopher Bell in terms of the playoffs. He had so much momentum after that win at the Roval. Toyota's been really good at the intermediate tracks. They were really good in the spring here. And he was running top 10, and he gets taken out due to a stupid crash that shouldn't have happened. But, yeah, we'll talk about the playoff standings here in a minute. Let's look at the results of the race first, and then we will get to your playoff standings as I get this cord out of my way so we can look at the results of the race. Joey Logano wins. He gets his third win of the season. Of course, he won at Gateway, the first ever Cup Series race there. He won at Darlington in the spring. And today, he wins at Las Vegas. He's got 3 or 4 wins at Vegas prior to today, but his first win in the next-gen car at Las Vegas, of course. But he did everything he needed to do today. He was top 5, top 10 all day. Had a really good car. Was up there with Blaney, Chastain at times, and late in the race they got the car tuned up right. They put the right tires on it, and he chased down Ross Chastain. There was more than a second back with just 10 to go, and he overcame that deficit, came back, and won the race. He is now in championship 4. As I said, he's made the championship 4 every even year, so 14, 16, 18, 20, and now 22. So that's his 5th championship 4 appearance. He's had a great season all day long. Looking forward to seeing how he does at Phoenix, and Ford has been pretty good at the shorter tracks this year, so he's going to have a pretty good opportunity to win the race here in 3 weeks, I guess. Ross Chastain finishes second, really good points day for him with the second place finish. Got a few stage points above the cutoff line, but a win would have gotten him into the championship for him. What a story that would have been. Got his first career Xfinity win at Las Vegas in 2018 with Chip Ganassi Racing. But yeah, he was really good here today. He was really good in the spring. That's why I picked him to win, because he led 80 or so laps in the spring, and once again he showed speed. Him and his teammate Daniel Suarez showing speed late in the season. Chastain fighting for a championship. If they bring that same speed back to Homestead next week, you better watch out. He's going to be in contention for that win. Third place, Kyle Busch, a non-playoff guy. Him and Chastain got into it there late. Chastain kind of put him in the wall off turn 4, and Kyle Busch showed his displeasure on the cool-down lap. But Kyle Busch, in his final race with JGR in his home race, finishes third. His crew chief's going to get suspended. A wheel did fly off the car during caution, and that's usually a suspension. So Kyle Busch will lose Ben Bayshore for his last 3 races at JGR. But once again, 2 really good results back-to-back for Kyle Busch, and considering how this year's gone for him, he's got to take it. 2 third places back-to-back. That's huge for them, huge for him. Just a little confidence booster because, they just haven't run that great this year. They've had a lot of bad luck too, so it's not like pure slowness, but they've had a lot of bad luck. So a third place for Kyle Busch. Fourth place, Chase Briscoe. Oh my goodness, what a day. Horrible start to the day. He was in the back of the 20s. He got lapped on a green flag run because he was that slow. Everyone had him written off. He was 40 points below the cutoff line. No stage points. Then all of a sudden, here comes Chase Briscoe. They make a couple strategy calls. They make a few huge adjustments. And Chase Briscoe's leading. He was leading for a bit with under 40 to go. Fighting with Justin Haley for the win. Fighting with Chastain, with Logano. He ends up finishing fourth, and he's only like 8 or 9 points below the cutoff line. Briscoe, who is horrendous today. The worst playoff driver for the first half of the race, I want to say, ends up finishing fourth. And now he's within a stage of making the championship 4. That's insane. Insane. What they have done in this playoff run is tremendous. They have not been a top 5, top 10 team this year. But these playoffs, they have done just enough to get by, and they are continuing to just keep on pushing. It's impressive. It's very impressive. They are taking full advantage of this format. Fifth place, Denny Hamlin. Really good run for him. He's had a really good year. As I said, intermediates have been great for Toyota. He got a few stage points, I think, but he was in and out of the top 10, ends up with a 5th place finish. I can't remember where he is at the cutoff line. We will look at that. 6th place, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin's future driver. Reddick had a really good day, led laps early on, got shuffled to the back a bit, but then he ends up rallying back. He had really good speed there in that last run. Ends up 6th. Martin Truex Jr. finishes 7th, so 3 Toyotas in the top 7. Eric Jones 8th, a really good run for him. I remember he was running top 10 in the Xfinity, or not the Xfinity Series. I just got a comment that said Xfinity Series, and I was reading that. But no, Eric Jones was top 10 in the spring in this race when he crashed out with 3 to go. So really good to see him get a top 10 here in the fall. Really good day for him. 9th, AJ Allmendinger, really good run for him as well. 10th place, Austin Dillon. Those 3 guys, great runs for them. 11th place, Noah Gragson. That's a great run for him. Great run in the 48. But on the bad news is that was the best finish for Hendrick Motorsports today. Byron was top 5, top 10 most of the day, got some stage points, but he got shuffled back late, pitted, and couldn't recover to top 10. Chase Elliott was nowhere all day, and Kyle Larson crashed out early. Horrible day for Hendrick Motorsports today. After having a really good race in the spring, finishing 1-2, having 3 cars in the top 5, all of them in the top 10. This race, they couldn't even get one in the top 10. So really, really, really bad start to the round of 8 for Hendrick Motorsports. But as of today, they do still have a car in the championship for. 12th place, Kevin Harvick, in and out of the top 10. There is some news on him that we're going to talk about tomorrow. Gene Haas made some comments on his future. We're going to have to talk about that. You can check my community post for the whole details on that because I don't want to repeat it here. 13th, William Byron. Byron, he recovers for 13th, but it should have been a top 10, maybe a top 5. Really good speed all weekend long. They looked so good. Maybe led a couple of laps there, but they were up there. They looked really good. Late race restart happens. Byron gets shuffled back outside of the top 15. He says, I can't do anything on these old tires. I'm already in the back here. Let's just pit. They only get up to 13th, so they lost a lot of points on that one restart. Rallied back, tried to get back to it, but couldn't get it all back. 14th, Justin Haley leading late there. He's had a good few weeks here, so good for him. 15th, Chris Buescher. 16th, Daniel Suarez had top 5 speed at times today. Looked really good. 17th, Brad Keselowski. 18th, Eric Almirola. 19th, Michael McDowell. 20th, Cole Custer. 21st, Chase Elliott. Worst race of the season for him, arguably. No speed. That's it. They were terrible today. The team that has been so good all year long has 5 wins, has been extremely good, and they usually step it up in the playoffs, has done the opposite. They've taken a step back in the playoffs. No speed at Darlington, crashed out early. Kansas, top 10-ish, but ends up finishing 11th. Bristol was a good run. They finished 2nd. What was the first round of the round of 12? Texas, they actually had speed there, but they crashed out. Talladega, they won. How about that? And then after that, in the final race, the Roval, they led a lot of laps because they're good at road courses, but get spun out on a late race restart. And then today, the highest they ran was like 14th. No speed, almost no effort, made some major adjustments that did nothing, and it's the same tire compound next week at Homestead. I am genuinely concerned for Chase Elliott right now. Homestead is not his best track. Vegas isn't his best track, but I expected him to do top 15 at worst, and they were top 20 at best. So this is a horrendous result for Elliott. He needs to be concerned. Martinsville's a very good track for him, yes, but if he does this again at Miami, it might be must-win at Martinsville if someone else wins like Briscoe or if everyone else gets stage points. So Chase Elliott fans, be concerned. 22nd, Ty Gibbs. 23rd, Ricky Stenhouse. 24th, LaJoy. Gilliland, 25th. Burton, 26th. Ware, 27th. Glad to see him back in the car. 28th, Ryan Blaney. Arguably the best car today. Led a ton of laps. Won stage 2. Got a lot of playoff points. They always said playoff points. Stage points today. And Blaney, while running second, chasing down the leader, loses the car, blows the tire, something, smacks the wall, spins out, hits the inside wall, goes multiple laps down, finishes 28th. I cannot express to you how tough that was. Even when he was in second, he had a good chunk of points on the cutoff line. He'd gained so many stage points. He was looking so good. But now, because of that crash, he is below the cutoff line. So Blaney, if they can bring that same speed to Homestead next week, maybe I'd feel confident. But Homestead has not been Blaney's best track. So it's tough. Martinsville's going to be a good track for him, but very tough day for Ryan Blaney today after it was such a promising start, leading so many laps, winning a stage, looking like the best car, and then crashing out. And then watching his teammate win. So, tough day for Blaney. He finishes 28th. 29th, Austin Cindric. He also got into the wall, went several laps down. 30th, BJ McLeod. 31st, JJ Yaley. 32nd, Landon Castle. 33rd, Ty Dillon. 34th, Christopher Bell got involved in that crash with Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson. Just, I cannot express how frustrating that is for Christopher Bell. Getting the win last week, the must win, all the momentum on your side, showing speed in this race in the top 10, and you get taken out because of someone's stupidity. It's tough. It really is. You got to hope that they bounce back at Miami. They're going to have speed there. I expect them to have speed there, but it's just so tough, man. Yeah, that sucks for them. No other way to put it. So they're not quite in a must-win, but it's a big gap. 35th, Kyle Larson. Sucks for him. He had top 10 speed, and he got taken out because of Bubba Wallace being stupid. And then Bubba Wallace finishes last. I'll make more comments about that when he gets, if he gets suspended, if he gets a penalty. I still expect him to get that penalty, but those are the results of the race. Here's your playoff standings. Joey Logano is through with a win. Ross Chastain plus 18, Chase Elliott plus 17. That is not a bad gap, but still that is very much, if you have a disaster, you will be below the cutoff line. And if Elliott does what he did this week again, he will be out. Chastain, if he does what he did again this week, he's going to feel good going into Martinsville. Hamlin plus 6, that can be made up in a stage. Byron minus 6, as I just said, that can be made up in a stage. Briscoe minus 9, that can be made up in a stage. Blaney minus 11, that you need 2 stages for that one, but that's tough for him. And Bell minus 23. So Bell not quite in a must-win, but if that gap stays the same going into Martinsville, it's basically going to be a must-win. Blaney needs a lot of help to make up those points. Briscoe, Byron can make up those points in one stage, and Hamlin, he needs stage points. Same for Ross Chastain and Chase Elliott. Nothing is safe. Nothing is guaranteed. This 2022 season has been wild. It's been bizarre. It's been crazy. So, Christopher Bell could win next week. Chase Elliott could crash out. Suddenly the border is like Chastain and Hamlin plus 3 over Briscoe. I don't know. This season's been unpredictable. It's been whack. It's been wild. So let me know your thoughts on the race today. Let me know your thoughts on Logano winning, being back in the championship four, making the championship four in every even year. Let me know your thoughts on the crash. Let me know your thoughts on Chastain's great run. Let me know your thoughts on why is Chase Elliott doing so bad right now. And let me know your thoughts on Chase Briscoe and his comeback today. So many topics from today, so many things to talk about. That's why this video is so long. But I look forward to talking to you guys again this week. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Kevin Harvick's future and SHR's future because there's a lot in question there. And then Tuesday should be the penalty report, which I am still expecting a suspension. We will talk about that then. Wednesday, I don't know. Thursday, I don't know. Friday, I don't know. I guess the U.S. Grand Prix is happening. I might do a live stream during practice. I don't know. But thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. We talk about NASCAR on here all the time. If you couldn't pick up from me talking about NASCAR for 20 minutes, or if you couldn't pick up on me previewing NASCAR content for the rest of the week. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the race. Solid 9 out of 10 race. It would have been 10 out of 10 if, Bubba didn't just completely obliterate Larson, but hopefully they're all right. And we will talk to you on tomorrow.